What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents podcast where I discuss all things music. And today on my show, I am talking with Aaron Chaparian, producer, songwriter extraordinaire, man. And we're going to talk a little bit about how Aaron got his start, how him and his brother starting their first band kind of got him into the recording and production side of music, as well as we get to talk about some of the bands that he's worked with, such as Harm's Way, Sentinel, his band Sever the King, and now him being a part of the band Legend with Chad from For the Fallen Dreams. So sit back, get ready for a good one, man. I think if anybody who's interested in music production, this is going to be your episode. You're going to learn a lot about what he has to say and the current state of the music industry. Before I get started, man, I want to say thank you to anybody who has become a fan of this show. Thank you to anybody who is currently listening, even if you've listened to one episode or you're listening to all of them. I greatly appreciate you. This week, we reached 500 downloads. Sorry, I'm over here exaggerating my life away. And I just want to say thank you, man. It means a lot to me that people are enjoying the show. And once again, if you have an idea or you'd like to be a guest on my show, please hit me up on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast or on Twitter at Podcast of Blue. Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And on the phone today, I have my good friend Aaron Chaparian. And man, if you don't know anything about Aaron, like let's be honest, man. He is a producer among all the producers right now. Good morning, Aaron. How you doing today, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
We're shooting the shit before, it is what it is.
Yep.
Life is how it is. So I'm going to hit you with my first question that I hit everybody with, whoever comes on my show, which is your top 5 artist.
Currently or ever?
You could do currently or you could do ever. Whichever way.
I'm going to do ever.
Okay.
I think System of a Down has got to be in there.
Ooh.
Lamb of God has to be in there. Slipknot has to be in there. I think old Linkin Park has to be in there because how much I used to listen to it. And I'll do like a current one, Silent Planet. I really like Silent Planet.
Yes.
They're cool. And putting the 6th one in there, Meshuggah. I have to say Meshuggah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I can definitely tell in some of your writing style. But anyways, like I said, Aaron is a producer among producers, man, and you're one of like my favorite people that I've gotten to work with / not work with in the same room, if that makes sense. So my podcast is about the journey into music and how we all come together, how it all, mixes and meshes. So how did your journey into music start for you, Aaron?
Oh, man.
We got time.
So I guess let's start with like my family. But my dad was in a band.
Okay.
For most of his life. He was like the singer in like a punk rock band. And when I was a baby, he kind of showed me all that stuff. I really liked Black Sabbath when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of introduced to heavy music like since I was like a toddler.
Yo, you were the second or third person on my show that their parents introduced you to like something heavy. My mom introduced me to R&B and gospel music.
Wow. That's awesome.
No, it is. But it's just like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out where all these cool parents came from.
I don't know, man. Out of nowhere. But, I don't know. My whole life I've been into that kind of music. And I kind of started, I guess my first instrument was like playing drums.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason I had drumsticks in the house and my dad had paint cans and I would play drums on his paint cans.
Mm-hmm.
And he eventually like got us a drum set, me and my brother. And then, so my brother and I both played drums for like years. That was my
Mm-hmm.
first instrument. And then, we'd kind of fight over the kit.
Mm-hmm.
So then somehow a guitar showed up. I think my dad had a guitar and I started messing around on the guitar. And then that led to like me and my brother kind of trying to make songs together,
Mm-hmm.
which led to me like trying to write songs. And that kind of led to this whole thing I'm doing now.
Yeah,
but
man.
I just like gave you like a 15-year time span. That all happened over a long time.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And I'm glad to know that that's what led into producing, because that's my next question. How did your start with that? Because, not only are you playing instruments and you play pretty much a lot of so many different instruments, but you also produce, record, and you do so many things, Aaron. How did that start for you?
Well, like I said before, I was like playing guitar and drums with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to write songs, but we had nowhere to record them.
Yeah.
So somehow I looked online, had like a laptop at the time. I think I was like 14 or 15 years old at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I found like a shitty music production software. I think it was called Mixcraft. That was the first one I started on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah. So I went to Guitar Center, got an interface.
Mm-hmm.
Just started messing around for Mixcraft for like probably a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Got used to just recording things. And then at some point I got Pro Tools. Dude, I didn't even know how to get sound to come out of Pro Tools for like at least a month when I first got it.
I'm having the same issue myself. I had bought an interface and I don't know how to get it to work.
Yeah, dude. I could help you out after this if you want.
Yeah. I might need that help.
But yeah, I pretty much literally started from zero.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing this stuff in my parents' basement for like 12 years, 10 years.
Wow.
Finally to get my own studio space now, which is awesome. But yeah, I started on a shitty software, Mixcraft, on my laptop, and then just kind of progressed over the years. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing, man. And, with that, I transition to my next question, which are some of the artists that you worked with have, speak highly of you and what you do and the dedication that you provide. Where does that dedication to want to make the best song come from? Is that something from your parents? Is that something in you want to make sure when you record and produce something, it's the best that it can possibly sound?
I think ultimately that comes from like a fear of being judged negatively by people.
Wow.
So like, I don't want to seem like incapable of doing things. So, I think that's where it comes from for me. Almost like I want to be viewed as the best possible that I can be.
Yeah. I think it's you are the person I go to when or you're the person I bring up in conversations when I talk about producing and recording, because I feel like there's a lot of let's call them quote unquote producers or quote unquote people who for certain projects they're all in and they'll give you the best stuff, but for someone who may not be their friend or may not be their close to, I don't feel like the dedication is there for certain producers. Do you feel that you see some of that, or do you feel like there's just so much to do sometimes you don't have the time to put in that care and love? Because anything I've ever done with you, Aaron, I've always felt like 110% was put in and then some.
Thanks, man. I don't know. I just love doing this stuff. And I feel like a lot of stuff outside of music can also affect like your engagement with the music.
Mm-hmm.
So like my whole life literally revolves around like trying to be good at this stuff. Like my exercise habits, like my diet. I don't know. I try to like keep my mind in a good place so I can like work on the music. It's like to the level you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I think some guys kind of neglect that aspect of it and kind of think they'll be like great at the stuff but like the rest of their life, the other areas of their life, they're not kind of optimizing so they can be good at the music stuff.
Yeah, I had a friend who paid $2,800 for a quote unquote producer / feature. And yeah, the level sounded correct and all that good stuff, but there wasn't any dedication into making sure that sounded the best that it possibly could be. And I felt like when I finally heard the record, though I was a fan of what they did musically, I didn't think the quality of what they got matched what they paid. You know what I'm saying?
That's a bummer. This stuff hard, dude. It really is. Like I feel like some days I definitely struggle more than other days.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day I don't feel like I do my best.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's some days that I just fight it more than other days, but I don't know. I'll sit on it until it's good, I think, and sometimes that takes like a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think anything worth having takes a while, you know, and I
Yeah,
think certain artists, you know, I'm sure you deal with different artists where you've got some who are super impatient and want it now, whereas
yeah,
you got other artists who are just like, do what you need to do. When it's done, you know?
yeah. I've had guys that like want it immediately, and I'll literally text them like, please stop rushing me, dude. I can't make it good. Like if you keep rushing me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the quality of your work speaks for it. And in speaking with that, and you've gotten to work with some artists here that I'm going to list off. You've worked
Cool.
on Sentinel's albums.
Yep.
You've worked on Left Behind and Nothing Left.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you've worked on former guest Devin to Embers,
Oh
Frozen
yeah.
Lake.
Yep.
How are those experiences working with those artists who, you know, let's face it, those guys are some pretty tippy top artists, you know, and who are, you know, touring and crushing it. How are those experiences help you become an even better producer?
Well, it's a good question. Like those dudes really care about their work.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can't not care because they care so much. They kind of hold me to like a standard, and then I try to meet that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely like push myself because they care so much and they want it so good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't like work with Nothing Left or Left Behind so like directly. Like I work with another producer who
Mm-hmm.
like produces their stuff. And I watched a lot of the way he does his stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
like super meticulous, cares about every detail. So I learned that kind of from watching like those bigger albums that I've worked on.
Mm-hmm.
I've done like minor roles on those albums, but it's like watching those guys have also helped me.
So let me ask you a question. Would you consider the roles you've done on those records kind of similar to extra work in a movie, if you will, where it's just like you're
Exactly.
you're handling a particular part, you maybe have a couple of lines, you know, if you
Yep.
will.
Exactly. Like almost like I guess editing the color of a scene or something like that. Like minor stuff.
Exactly. The seasoning in that gumbo that is the record, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's an awesome thing, man. And like I said, you've got some interesting credits, you know, Harm's Way we were just talking about.
Yeah. I didn't do jack shit in that album. They gave me an assistant credit.
Yeah. And that's got to be awesome. Bands like Pathogen, which is one I really love those guys, and Sovereign.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, for real. But also you have your own projects going on.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about your band Sever the King?
Yeah. So like I was saying before, how I kind of got into this stuff with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like that project where I started doing recording, that was Sever the King, like
Okay.
the beginning of it. We started writing like heavy songs, and we wanted to start a band, but we had like no members.
Mm-hmm.
So I put an ad on Craigslist for a vocalist, and that's how I found the vocalist of Sever the King. His name's Joey Cruz. He's the man. I think I was like 15 or 16 at the time when he came over my house, and we jammed with my brother. And his vocals are awesome, and we're just like, yeah, let's do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how Sever started. And then we just like wrote songs, recorded for like a few years, played some local shows,
Mm-hmm.
and like that was like the first band I was in. I'm still kind of doing stuff here and there, but like very slowly. I've just been focusing on all the other stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, man, and I'm sure you've got a lot on your plate right now. I know there's
I'm pretty busy.
I was about to say, I know there's a particular record you're working on right now that I'm kind of excited. I've already heard a little piece from
Cool.
from my boy Brandon. And with talking about Brandon, talk about I would have to say you've been like a big mentor to Brandon Cooper, who's also been on the show before. Talk about that relationship that you impart, that great knowledge that you have onto someone like Brandon, who is like a fucking sponge, soaks that shit up. And when I first started working with Brandon almost 2 years ago, he was good at what he was doing, and now I feel like he's coming up right behind you on being great at producing stuff.
Good man. We hit me up to kind of produce this song. I want to say like late 2018. I think that's when it was.
Yeah, that was our song, Charlotte. That was Aaron's first song that Aaron worked on. Misery Chord was Charlotte. Yeah.
Yep. And he kind of told me he was into producing, into recording, mixing, all that stuff, and kind of wanted to learn more. He came to my place. We kind of went over some stuff for like a day. I told him some like stuff I know. He showed me some stuff he knows. And then like since then we've been kind of going back and forth. He's been sending me files. I'll kind of give him like mixed critiques. Like I'd say like every week, every other week, maybe. And we're kind of like working together on some stuff. He collaborated on a few songs with me. So yeah, we've had a good relationship. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. I've seen the changes in his ability to do production, and it's almost like night and day, man. It's almost crazy to think that 2 years ago he started where he started, and now he's, like I said, I think he's coming up right behind you on ability, on skill. Every once in a while, just like he sends you files, he'll send me something just to kind of get my opinion on what I think it sounds like. I'm nobody to be giving, mixing or editing critiques or anything like that. But if I like something, I like something, man. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
The other cool thing too is once again, like I said, Aaron is just the man of all men. You're working with Chad from For the Fallen Dreams on his other project, Legend. Talk about how you got into that project.
Okay, so I've been listening to Legend since like 2011, I think. Like, fucking loved Legend, like back then. And then I followed Chad on Instagram. I saw he was like looking to do some like vocal features. He said he had studio time, so I hit him up to do a song with him. And we did the song together. And I think he liked working with me. So like maybe a month later, he asked if I wanted to do Legend. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do Legend. I love Legend. So we're kind of working on it slowly. But we're working on it nonetheless.
Now, with that being said, I noticed that you're building a strong network of people that you're good with, whether it's Brandon, whether it's Chad, and you're working with different artists. Can you give some advice to someone who is trying to either get started on the music production side or in the music side of, being an artist, on how to properly network with people to expand your opportunities?
Yeah. I think like the most important thing is kind of being like real with yourself. I think when I graduated school and I was trying to do this stuff, I might have come across as like not so authentic, maybe kind of like over advertising myself, maybe trying to be somebody I wasn't for a while, and I kind of learned the hard way. But I think that's like really important to just be authentic, and just make like real connections with people. Don't try to seem like you're doing it like from an egotistical place. Just try to be like empathetic to people, and try to build like real relationships that you could actually collaborate with people on, not just you trying to get them to like your stuff. And I think that's important.
No, and it definitely, once again, this goes back to my whole producer argument. And I think for like the first 20 to 25 shows I've done, I always come back to, if you don't have a producer who doesn't care about what you're going to do, your levels are going to sound good, the mix is going to sound good, but you're not going to get that extra where someone can step back and look at it, what you're not seeing. Because I think sometimes us as artists, we're so close to what we're doing, we don't have that other perspective to step back and say, hey, yeah, this sounds good, but hey, man, what if you tried this? Or hey, what if you did this differently?
Right. Yeah. I feel like a lot of guys will do what they're asked to do. And kind of in the back of their head say like, this song could be cooler if this happened. But they won't do it because they didn't get paid a certain amount or something. But I think it's like important to do those things. At least like take a chance, like show the artist, be like, I was hearing this way. Maybe I can try it out this way. And I think like sometimes they'll say, yes, that's awesome. And like that's why they'll come back to you.
Yeah, man. And that's it. I like I said, man, it is my constant argument especially with a lot of my friends who are in music, and they're telling me, oh, so-and-so is producing it or so-and-so is mixing it. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great name to have on the CD. And, it's like, but what does that really mean when it comes to your sound? What does that really mean when it comes to the final product,
Right. Like they're maybe making those decisions more for like publicity or to appeal to people instead of like being content with what they just released.
Yeah, and true. The other thing too is I feel like sometimes people ride on that too much to think that that's going to help you sell some records. I don't think that's going to help you at all. You can have, me and you could write a good screenplay and we could have James Cameron be the producer on it, but if he doesn't give a fuck about what we've written, it's going to be a shitty movie. What I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something certain artists get confused with, and I think that's also certain things that certain producers get confused with. It's just pay me my money and I will give you what I think it needs to sound like. Yeah. Instead of kind of enhancing that product. And I hate, I like I said, I don't want this to be an ass kissing session for you, but you've kind of shown me what a producer can be and should be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. And it's an awesome thing. And like I said, you're building a relationship with people more than just yourself. And it seems very egoless for you. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing it because, oh yeah, I know Chad. I'm cool with Chad. Me and Chad are cool, or whatever the case is. Yeah. It's not like that. It's just it's an opportunity. You're running with it, and you're doing like great things. Sorry, I could rant forever about you. It's crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? You, but so let's transition the conversation to some hypotheticals, man. What are some artists you'd like to work with, even if it sounds crazy or like it wouldn't? Or maybe what are some songs you'd like to contribute? Because I know not only do you do heavy music, man, you do some hip hop stuff. You do a little R&B.
I fuck around. I'm not good at it, but I've tried.
So are there some artists that you would really like to work with, or you'd like to even just, kind of like the Harm's Way situation, just like to move a cab or two for him?
Yeah, let me scroll through my computer real quick.
Yeah.
All right, I want to write music for so many bands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find like a non-heavy one.
Yeah.
That would be cool to write for.
Yeah.
I like a lot of reggae music. I think the band Revolution would be really cool to write music for. I don't know if you know who they are.
I'm unfamiliar with it, but reggae music's awesome. So there's nothing wrong with that. That would be definitely an interesting foray for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'm trying to think of some heavy bands I would like to write for.
Yeah.
There's this band Aristia that I love. I've loved them for so long. They're small, like not a ton of people know them. They're like more genty. I would love to like mix that band. I text them like twice a year, like begging them to let me work with them.
And that's crazy because you're talking about it's a small band, and you like I said, you've worked with some pretty well known bands. So the fact that you're like, hey man, let me help you out there, like let me offer my services. That's funny.
No, I'd ask them too often.
No, that's cool. But I mean, once again, like I said, you're a different breed, man. Your desire to want to do something completely different. I know I've seen, I've heard some things between you and Brandon, and I think that's awesome because to be honest with you, I think Brandon's a great songwriter as well.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, you are like a crazy awesome songwriter, man. Let's talk a little bit about that and getting in that process. What is that like for you? In, you know, I know a lot of times you deal with clientele that kind of tell you, okay, this is the kind of style I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, and then from that point on, I know you are, hey, listen to this, tell me what you think. And you adjust whether or not you agree with it. And I think that's awesome because you're focusing on your client. You're not focusing on, hey, I think it sounds better this way. You know what I'm saying?
I always let the client have like the final say.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay like pretty unattached to the music, because I notice like when I become attached to it, like one, I think about it too much and I don't write good.
Mm-hmm.
And then two, like I care too much when they kind of critique it and I take it personally.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like write and then like let them, you know, like hold themselves emotionally to the songs and like kind of make all the decisions.
Yeah, it's a different mental space. You can't, you know, when you're writing for yourself, you can do whatever you want to do, you know. And if a lot of people don't know, and you know, before we get to the end here, you know, Aaron has a pretty popular YouTube. You can go on there, and if you look in the descriptions, he has songs available, man, for anybody who is an artist who's looking for some music to write to. I know every once in a while for myself, if you put something up, man, I will, you know, whether I'm working or I'm at the house, I will sing to it myself and see how I fit with the song, you know, or see how I fit, you know.
Yeah,
it's a fun thing to do, and then also at the same time, it's a good vocal practice for me, you know. So, you know, I'll put on some stuff here, and then, you know, obviously, anytime you and Brandon do a collaboration and you post it up there, you know, I'm all over it like white on rice.
Oh yeah.
So, it's
cool, man.
No, it's great. I don't think a lot of people think about this side of the production as much. Because we're all concerned about, I just made this sweet, tasty riff. Listen to this shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're not focusing on finding a producer who is out to get your sound. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There are songs I've heard you've done for us, and by us I mean Brandon and me when we were in Misery Chord, where, you know, I think the song sounds great when Brandon makes it, and then it's just almost like you threw your dash of cayenne in there, and you were like, boom, there it is. And I was like, oh shit, this is completely different and amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my wife thinks paprika tastes good on everything, which she's right, it does. You know what I'm saying? It's just like yeah, you know, it's like you throw your little seasoning on there, and though it doesn't seem like a big deal, it just hits kind of differently. And you know what I mean by that, but it just means by it's just like the song was good, holy shit, it's even better now, you know.
It's awesome. Thanks, man.
No, for real. Before we get out of here and before we wrap this one up, man, I think that, you know, people need to focus more on the production side more than they're focused on chugging out an entire album. What kind of advice can you give in the current landscape of music? Because some people have differing opinions. Some people feel like right now in the music industry, releasing a single and focusing on that single is better than trying to put out an entire album.
I feel like I'm kind of biased because I work with a lot of artists that only release like singles here at a time.
Yeah.
I'm not kind of the producer that just like records albums like some of the guys that I like learn from. They're kind of the guys that have a band come to the studio, they'll record 11 songs, and then like that's what they do for the next band too. I'm like kind of not that guy. I'm kind of, the way I operate is kind of built for just like, I guess, pumping out singles. So I think it is a good move. But there's something about albums that are just like different. They're just awesome. So I think it is a good idea to, I guess, release singles and then maybe an album. That's not what everyone does though. But I think more bands are leaning towards just like the singles once in a while because people's attention spans are so short nowadays.
Yeah, man. It's kind of like, you'll put out 6-7 songs and then everybody's like, all right, cool. That's it. You know what I'm saying? As in, you know, I've got a few friends who do release singles, And when you see them release a single, you get a music video, or you get a lyric video, or you get some promotion. You even get a little merch behind it and stuff like that. But unfortunately for bands who aren't on record labels, sometimes I think that's like the better option, because you're not at the ability. And then let's be honest, and it's not to say, and to be honest with you, I in working with you, I think you're within reason in what you ask for, but production costs money. It costs time. You know what I'm saying? So I think certain people need to also take that into account.
That is a big factor. I've had artists work with me that like want to do an album, but they're like, I just can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to give them good prices, but still they're like, I just can't do it right now. But I think every like legit band should release albums, because like the biggest bands in the world, they release albums. And I don't think you're going to get that big if you don't release albums. So
yeah, because people need to see I think in some aspects people need to at least see the ability and the content, along with, an album is sometimes a kind of like, I would say it's 50% piece of what the band is. It's the other 50 is probably tour, able to draw people in as well too. But
that's the hard part.
Exactly. And especially now with the way the world is, some people think that the music industry, as it pertains to shows, aren't going to be back on track until 2022, and that's kind of scary for some bands, I'm sure.
That's terrifying, because like a lot of these guys in bands, that's how they like actually make a living. They don't make a living from Spotify sales or like, it's all the tour and the merch.
No, and that's that you were right. That's the scary part. Not only just the artists, but the venues. You know what I'm saying? How's that going to be like when we finally are okay to go back out? How are the venues going to be like? How are they? How are they going to receive artists? And it's going to be on every level. It doesn't matter whether you're a touring band or you're a local band who, plays, the corner bar every other week or something like that. Everything is about to change.
Yeah, like music has to adapt. Like there's no other way.
No, for real. First, I just want to say thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you coming on my show, man. And I think if anybody gets anything from this podcast, it's a better understanding of the production side of it, man. So I appreciate you talking about that.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me.
For real, man. So before we get off with you, man, I'm going to plug some of your social medias, man. Because if you are an artist who is currently looking for a producer to work with, you are currently looking for a way to make yourself better than what you already are, you need to hit up Aaron, and you can find him at AaronChaparian.com. You can also find him on Facebook and Instagram at Aaron Chaparian Recordings. And he's also on YouTube as well, too. If you are like me, who's a vocalist who doesn't know how to make any music, and you're looking for a particular style of music you can go on there and kind of check out what Aaron already has and maybe hit him up and say, hey, man, I like this, but I'd like to do something different with it, man.
Thanks, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate you being on, man. All right?
Of course.
All right. Oh,